Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome. I'm just going to spend a few minutes waiting for a few more. It is only. If you can all just kindly take care of just muting your sound. Okay, we'll just wait. I'm just going to wait a few minutes, guys, just to see that a few more devotees come on. So how have you all been? How's your classes thus far? How was the exam last week?
It was good, Mataji. We're studying for another exam this week.
Oh yes, the open book.
Also,
Yes.
the book is due on the same day. It's due on Sunday. So
Okay, well that's good. Anyway, we have so few devotees. There's only about 12. So we're just gonna wait a few minutes. If in the meantime, you can just have, today we're doing text 4, 5, and 6. So you can just have that opened. And maybe in order not to waste any time, you can just probably just read through in preparation. I think what happens is devotees forget that we have a separate ID because we're using Gaurangi's ID. So I think that could be the problem. But we did send it, Gopal Radhe did send it to earlier on.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, for those of you that just joined, we're just waiting for more devotees to join. We've only got like 14 thus far. So at least only about what, 50% are on? We're just waiting for the other 50%. I should wait another maybe like 3-4 minutes and then I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so we'll just wait a few minutes more and then we're going to go ahead and get started. Today we're going to be looking at text 4, 5, and 6. So we have at least 17, 16, 17 devotees. We're waiting for quite a few more. So Hare Krishna again, those of you that just joined, you can just quickly look through. Today we're going to be looking at text 4, 5, and 6. So the only reason I'm not starting is I only have about, 18 participants. So I'm just waiting for a few more. It's okay, it's 4:04. I'll wait another minute or two and then I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started because it's already 4:06 and I like being punctual and doing things on time. So as the others join in, they can just catch up. So Hare Krishna to everyone. And I'm having this class after such a long time. I missed all of you. I missed having the class. So I'm so happy to be with all of you again. Just to let you know that beside this class, we have 2 more classes because Nectar of Instruction is only 11 verses. So after this class, we have 2 more classes. Today we're doing text 4, 5, and 6. Then we have 7 through 11. So just to let you know, next week, Saturday, will be my class again. Because I think Radhacharan Prabhu is finishing. He's already done with the Ishur Upanishad. So next week we will be doing class, and then the last class will be the week thereafter. It won't be on a Saturday. It'll be on Friday, July the 31st. And just to let you know, I know you're busy. You have open book exams. You have so much of homework in other classes. Just to let you know that whenever you get a chance also, just make sure that you are practicing the questions. You're going through the open book questions, you're going through the closed book questions for each text, so that at the end when you take the exam, it's not a whole lot of things that you have to go through. So just to help you with that. Okay, so today we are looking at the Nectar of Instruction, text 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to quickly, firstly, just do a recap, and then I'm looking at text 4. So let's quickly look at the lesson objectives for today's lesson. We're going to be looking at the 6 loving exchanges, which is text 4. We'll look at the mind map. We're going to look at, obviously, Srila Prabhupada's purport and his commentary. Then I'm going to do a little bit of pastimes from our scriptures. Then I have 4 aspects or 4 important points of community building. And then finally, Srila Prabhupada's letters. I always like to use Srila Prabhupada's letters because it's directly what Srila Prabhupada is telling us. Text 5 and 6 is going to be quite short. We're just going to look at the mind map for 5 and the different types of devotees. And then 6 again, the mind map. Like I always do, we're going to be looking at the purport. And then I have something that I borrowed from a study guide from Srimati Mataji. That's going to be a surprise, and a little bit about Srila Prabhupada's memories. Somebody that is online, can you just please mute your sound, please? Because it's coming through. Just make sure that all of your sound is muted. Okay. So just the lesson objectives, we're looking at 4, 5, and 6. Just to let you know again, okay. Again,
Mataji,
yes.
I'm sorry, just 1 second. Yeah, in your participants, just go and click mute participants on entry. Then it will be muted for
I'm
everybody.
looking at it. I think Pitambar, you have to mute yours.
No, down when you see the participants, down there is the 3 dots at the bottom. Right next to mute, unmute all, and the 3 dots. Click that 3 dots. Then you will see option to mute all participants when they enter.
Okay, just 1 minute. I'm just looking at that. No, that is make co-host. I know. Co-host.
All the way down in the participants. All the way, unmute down all the way.
Okay, it shows me the 3 dots, and then what else? What do I click on?
You click on the dot, it will open a box. It shows mute all participants on entry. Now,
okay, Gorangi just made you co-host, Prabhu. Maybe you can just help me with doing that.
Okay, I will take care.
Thank you. Okay, going back to that, now getting back to it, we're looking at today, we covered 1, 2, and 3. So the preview, we looked at the 6 urges, we looked at what is a deterrent or obstacles to our devotional service, and we looked at the principles that aid our devotional service. That was the last 3. And then today we're looking at 4, 5, and 6. 4 deals with the 6 loving exchanges. 5 deals with how to associate with devotees according to their levels of advancement, the different types of devotees. And then 6, we're going to end with associating with the pure devotees. And then just preview for next week, or just a little bit of next week. Next Saturday, we'll be looking at 7, chanting the holy name, and then the spontaneous devotional service, 8. And then the last lesson will be 9, 10, and 11. So just again for today, we're doing 4, 5, and 6. Let's move on. The recap of text 3, we looked at the most important thing just because that was like at least more than 2-3 weeks ago. So when we looked at text 3, we said that what should our attitude be? We should be enthusiastic, we should be confident, and at the same time, we should also be patient in our Krishna consciousness. Things don't happen overnight. We have to just be patient, persevere, but also at the same time, be very confident and enthusiastic. What should our behavior be? And you're gonna see today's verse is linked to text 3 because Sri Rupa Goswami talks about, most importantly, we should give up the association of non-devotees. So what our behavior should be like? We should associate only with devotees. And then our character. We should only do those aspects of devotional service that is favorable, that helps us in our Krishna consciousness. And then the last one, what's our direction? How should we like move forward? What should be our ultimate aim? We should aim to always follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, and also like follow, listen, imbibe the teachings of our guru. Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, just one quick thing. I have another computer set up. So from time to time, if you see me turning my face, I'm just looking at it because I have all of you on the other computer. So I'm just looking to see who's online, okay? So don't think that that's weird if I keep looking aside from time to time. Okay, so that was text 3. Now let's moving on to text 4. If you're looking in your book, we are looking at page 38. This is actually, on a personal note, my all-time favorite verse. I remember it from years and years because Sri Rupa Goswami, to me, he tells us this is the essence of Krishna consciousness. And it'll be so nice if, and I know you learning so many texts, but if you do have the time and you are able to, it'll be so nice if you can just memorize it, and more especially the translation. So we're going to look at text 4. If you have your physical copy, that's good. If you don't, just look at it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Text 4. Dadati prati grihanati guyam akyati prichati bhunkte bhojayate chaiva sadvidham priti lakshanam. Translation: offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad, and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. So, such beautiful words. Srila Rupa Goswami here tells us how we should perform devotional service. How should devotional service be done? Obviously, in the association of devotees. And if you look at the purport, Srila Prabhupada has very nicely numbered them, 6 points. So there's 6 kinds of activities that we do. The first 2 are dadati prati grihanati, which means we give charity to the devotees, and we also accept from the devotees whatever they may offer to us in return. That's sometimes I may tell you throughout the class, I'm talking about the dadati principle. Here I'm just talking about charity, giving and receiving charity. Then the third one is opening one's mind to the devotees. And that correlates guyam akyati prichati. They go together. So not only do you open your mind to the devotee, the part that goes with it is you inquire as well from devotees about the confidential service of the Lord. So you are revealing your mind to a devotee about Krishna consciousness, and at the same time, or you helping them in Krishna consciousness, but it's a 2-way, it's a reciprocal relationship. You're not only helping them by giving them Krishna consciousness, you're also taking from them Krishna consciousness. So you are opening your mind to a devotee, and you're also inquiring from them. Now, just on a quick word, in case I forget later on to mention it, this does not only have to deal with Krishna consciousness. It could also be like on a, I shouldn't say material level, but say suppose you have something that's troubling you, like mental health issues, or you just someone to confide in, to talk to, that will also fall in this category. Like we should always have somebody that we can, that's like a confidant, somebody that can help us in our spiritual problems, or even any type of issues or problems that we have. So see, our scripture, Srila Rupa Goswami takes into account all of these things. And the last 2, I'm sure, is everybody's favorite, bhunkte bhojayate chaiva. So we should honor prasad given to us by the devotees, and reciprocate as well. Not only just keep honoring prasad served by devotees, but showing our love as well, and also feeding the devotees, helping the devotees, feeding them, inviting them, giving them prasad. So those are the 6 kinds of loving exchanges. And quickly, just to look at the text, the word that stands out to me there is Priti Lakshanam. So Srila Rupa Goswami says these are 6 symptoms of love. It shows our love. So see how this, for me, this verse, it just tells me everything that anybody should know about Krishna consciousness. It's so personal. It's so much about love and loving exchanges. And at the same time, we just, going higher and higher in our devotional life. So these are the activities that assist us. So like I always do, I rely heavily on Srila Prabhupada's purports because these words are such gems. Everything makes so much sense. So I'm going to go through the purport. I'll try to do that as quickly as I can. And then I also have like some notes that I want to, discuss about this. So let me quickly look at my things. So here Srila Prabhupada says in his purport that an experienced devotee, he explains, he discusses, he explains, and the inexperienced, or the devotee that is just new to Krishna consciousness or doesn't know too much, he learns from the senior devotee. So I think that is very important because that shows us that we have to have one quality of being submissive, in terms of we should always be wanting to hear from devotees. We should always, that guyam akyati prichati, the one about confidence, revealing your mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially. We have to be submissive. We have to put our false ego aside and be open to receive the Lord's mercy. And then Srila Prabhupada goes ahead in the purport and he talks about, just give me 1 second, I'm going to see what mine is. So here's the 6: giving charity, accepting from devotees, charity, obviously. Charity, one quick thing, when we talk about giving charity and accepting charity, I'm not only talking about I'm more especially focusing on this Krishna consciousness, and could also mean giving donations to the temple as well. So it's a broad category: revealing one's mind, inquiring confidentially, honoring prasad, and then feeding the devotees. Okay, so I'm gonna have the mind map on because I also like using this. So I'll point to the mind map when I need it. So please don't try to look at too many things here because there's a whole lot going on here. For now, let me just give you the background, and when you follow my arrow key, I'll talk about specific things. So Srila Prabhupada says that when we accept prasad from devotees, we should look at it as the Lord's mercy, that we are honoring Krishna prasad. We are receiving it as it's Krishna's mercy given to us. The devotee is giving us Krishna's mercy when they are sharing prasad or serving us prasad. Therefore, my personal input in this is that we should never waste prasad. I remember reading a pastime of Srila Prabhupada's where he spoke to a few devotees. I think it was a room conversation. And he was saying that always just take a first helping, take a first round. And then if you're still hungry after that, then you can go ahead and ask for a second helping, but not just pile up your plate and then half of it goes in the trash can. That is something that many of us are guilty of. I should say, as far as possible, I personally try. If I can't finish anything at the temple, then I always just cover it up and bring it home. If I can't eat it at home, then I have a garden in the backyard. I generally just dig into the soil and I just put the leftover prasad there and I cover it up. Because my mind is, okay, all of these insects and earthworms and all of that, at least, and the birds, they're getting to honor Krishna prasad. So please, just one quick note, especially those of us here in New Orleans, please try not to put prasad in the trash, because that is also not something we should be doing. If we've done it in the past, please don't do it anymore. Also, when we, Prabhupada goes on to say,
I have a question on this prasadam for a long time, and
yes,
I want to clarify.
go ahead.
So prasadam, if I throw in the trash, something or someone is going to eat it, whether worms or something. Or if I put it in the, as you said, put it under the dirt, still some bugs or something is going to eat. So
Yeah.
what is your take on it? That's how I think.
Are you asking me which is the better option of the two, to put it in the trash, in the
No,
dumpster, or to
no,
put it
I'm
in
just-
the ground?
And I'm just asking, what's your thought? Because I believe nothing gets wasted on this earth, because anything we throw, something or someone is going to eat it somewhere. It's not just sitting idle. So I
Mm,
just want to
that's
get your
true,
thought.
but if I have to be like, I haven't really just thought what happens when if you put it like in the trash and the trash gets taken by like a dumpster every week. For that, I'm really not too sure where that ends up. I'm not too sure where that really ends up. Does it go into a landfill where some other living entities get access to it? What happens to it? I'm not too sure. I should
Even if it goes to the landfill, some worms, some bacteria, some living entity is going to decompose it. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You have a point there, but see, that you really can't be sure of. For me, if I had a choice between the two, I'd rather it be in my backyard, because that I can see what's going to happen to it. And here Srila Prabhupada says that, and we know our scriptures also say that if any living entity eats Krishna Prasad, then their next birth is going to definitely be a human birth. So at least you are also helping the other living entities as well. So yes, if I had a choice between the two, I would rather it go in my backyard than in the trash. Does that answer your question, Abhigyan Prabhu?
So if Prabhupada says, give it to some living entity, even if I'm throwing the trash can, some living entity is going to get it. That is for sure.
Hare Krishna Mata.
Or not.
Hare Krishna Abhigyan Prabhu. Hari Bol Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Putting prasadam in a trash is a sign of laziness, first point. And second point, if you put in a backyard somewhere, there is surety that some living entity gonna eat. Thank you.
Sure, like I think what we're saying, Abhigyan Prabhu, is at least we can control it here. Yes, but I think, I don't know, it's personal preference, I think. But here, I think if you're putting it in your backyard, you are sure that some living entity is going to eat it, as opposed to just dumping it in a trash can. I think also dumping it in a trash can is also disrespectful to Prasad. It's disrespectful. It's like saying, I'm just dumping this.
And also, yeah, there are dirty things in the trash cans also, like non-veg and other many dirty things. So yes, Mataji, I think it's very disrespectful for prasadam to put it in there.
Thank you, Saralam. That was a nice input from you. Okay, let's just go ahead. So here I'm going to go ahead and talk about, Srila Prabhupada also talks about who do we associate with. And if you look at my arrow here, he gives a very beautiful analogy. He talks about that even in the material world, even in the, I should say, so-called non-devotee world, there are also loving exchanges. So if you had to read this later on, Srila Prabhupada says that when businessmen meet, say suppose they meet at a hotel, what they will do is they'll order a big, maybe like a 5-course meal, like a feast, Srila Prabhupada says, they will eat. And then the one will express to the other what he wants to do. He will get the other businessman's opinion and advice. And then he finds out how to move ahead in business. And Srila Prabhupada says, even at sometimes they exchange gifts. So here we find that even in the material world, this analogy shows us that this loving exchanges take place all the time. So if it takes place amongst non-devotees, then why not devotees? So these dealings are, it's absolutely necessary whether we are devotees or non-devotees. And then Srila Prabhupada goes on to say, now where should these loving exchanges, so I'm moving to the next one. Srila Prabhupada says that this is one of the reasons why ISKCON was founded. The purpose of ISKCON is to facilitate these loving exchanges, to make sure that these loving exchanges happen. And if you look at the mind map, this pertains a little bit to India because Srila Prabhupada talks about life membership. We're not too familiar with it here, but for those of you that don't really know, life membership just involves where devotees go and they sort of associate with people on the outside. They sign them up as life members. Those guests give donations to the temple. They become a life member, and when they go to different temples, they have a membership, like a 3-day pass that they can stay in the temple. So Srila Prabhupada talks about how the life membership facilitates these exchanges. So he says the life member here, can you see, interacts with the devotees. So the life member gives a donation to become a life member. And in exchange, the devotee doesn't just take the donation, the devotee reciprocates. He gives them books, they sign up for BTG, they get magazines, they get a whole lot of invitations. So this is the Dati Pratigrihanati, these first two. Can you see my arrow? You give in charity, you receive charity. Then this, the next one is here, the inquiring about Krishna consciousness. The person inquires, finds, asks questions about Krishna consciousness, and the devotee explains to them. So that is the Guyam Akyati Prichyati principle. And then the last two, Bhunkte Bojayate Chaivam. So this part, the devotee gets invited to the life member's house. Sometimes they prepare prasad. Now here we have to be careful because if we go to someone's house, we cannot be like totally rude because we don't want to put them off. So even if they eat meat, if they're not following any of the principles, we can politely just accept some fruit and accept maybe a glass of water. That will be fine. And then how we respond to that, so we get invited to their home, we reciprocate by inviting them to festivals. And when they come to festivals, they honor prasad. So Srila Prabhupada, see this mind map, he tells us so nicely how we do all of it. So let me quickly get back to this. Srila Prabhupada mentions in his purport that I liked it so much when I was reading it. He says that sometimes these devotees come from, or these guests come from such high, wealthy, affluent backgrounds, but yet they're so simple when they come to the temple. They just accept everything as Krishna's mercy because they know that devotees are reciprocating with them out of love. And in the same way, we should do the same at whichever local temple that we are at, that if anybody comes in, we should always have that personal connection. And I just quickly like to share a few points. Many years ago, when my family and I were we went to visit, my sister lives in the UK, so we went to visit her. And I always wanted to visit Bhaktivedanta Manor. And thankfully, we were able to go and stay at the manor for at least 2 or 3 days, which was a beautiful experience, just being for the arti and, just visiting the grounds and looking at everything was really nice. But what my family and I noticed, that the loving exchange was not there. Even though we stayed on the property, we found that we didn't have anybody coming up. And I was thinking, why is nobody coming up to me and saying, oh, Hare Krishna, where are you from? Are you okay? Do you have enough prasad? So that was lacking. And fortunately for me, I knew the temple president at that time. One of my friends from South Africa is married to him. So when I had the opportunity to speak to him, I shared with him my realization. And I said, Prabhu, see, this is something, it's such a beautiful experience. And if I'm experiencing this shortcoming, how many others have also experienced it? So I told him that, we should always make sure that there's always somebody at the temple to receive devotees and see what they need, or even any guests, I should say guests. And the lesson I saw for me in that experience was that when I came back to New Orleans, I strived more than ever to always to be more courteous and considerate to guests that came to the temple room. or even that came to our temple just for any festival. So the advice I can give any one of you, sometimes we're so used to going around in the temple, we have our own clique of friends, we're doing our own thing. Always just be mindful and keep an open eye out for anyone that has, that you're not, that's coming for the first time, or that is not part of our circle of devotees. Just remember that they are coming. This is Krishna's house. They're coming, and we should be so grateful for that. So even if it means just take a couple of minutes out of your time, even if you've seen them before, like once or twice or whatever, Hare Krishna, how are you? Thank you so much for coming to the temple. If you need anything, please ask any one of us. We are here to help you. Or if you notice them leaving, nothing stopping you from running after them and saying, why don't you take some prasad or have something before you leave? So that just shows to them that we care about them. So for me, that was the biggest lesson I took out of my experience. So that's also part of the loving exchanges. And I'm going to quickly come back to page 41 of the purport. Srila Prabhupada talks about here that in ISKCON, these loving exchanges are nourished amongst, by being with devotees, we can practice this. And he says beautiful words. He says our dormant Krishna consciousness gets revived. So even if we become more Krishna conscious, for want of a better word, and Srila Prabhupada talks about that, then at the bottom of the page, he talks about, on the top of the page, he quotes from Bhagavad Gita. He says, it is stated 262, Sangat Sanjayate Kama. So he says that always remember that, and I'm just going to paraphrase the text from the Gita, that the company we keep is really important. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in the next verse as well. But here Srila Prabhupada is saying that our ambitions develop according to the company we keep. That means if we associate with devotees, then obviously our Krishna consciousness increases, improves, get better and better every day. And the converse is true as well. If we're not going to spend time with devotees and be instead with non-devotees, then we know that our Krishna consciousness is going to slacken. And I think the bottom of the page, which is also, and I know you don't have time to read all of this, you can do it at your own leisure. So I'm just going to quickly paraphrase it. Srila Prabhupada goes on to say that this Krishna consciousness, when we take this human body, this Krishna consciousness is already there. It's not something that has to come into our hearts. It's already in our heart. The only thing is that our hearts are impure. It's within us. But when our hearts become purified, how? By Shravanam Kirtanam, by hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord, then our Krishna consciousness gets awakened. And at the bottom, Srila Prabhupada quotes from Mahaprabhu's Shikshastakam. I'm looking at page 42, where Srila Prabhupada talks about Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So he says that this heart, the mirror of the heart is, like if you have a mirror and then on the mirror there's a whole lot of dust. He uses that analogy, obviously, explains the analogy. So when the mirror has a lot of dust in it and you're trying to get ready maybe for school or work in the morning, you're not going to see yourself. So instinctively, you just want to take a cloth and wipe that dust away so that you can see your face, yourself. So in the same way, Srila Prabhupada says that the mirror of our heart is filled with all of this dust, all of these anarthas that are there, all of these bad qualities, these things. So our aim, this Cheto Darpana Marjanam, is to cleanse, to wipe away this dust and to tie this back in. Srila Prabhupada is saying here, see, I spoke about the company we keep. Srila Prabhupada is saying what we should do is, I'm right here, guys. Shikshastakam, the Cheto Darpana, Srila Prabhupada is saying that this holy name helps us. The chanting and remembering of the holy name helps us. So I think we good. Oh, one other quick thing. It's not only when we are chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, it's not only we that benefit, it's everybody else that hears it. So it's hearing and chanting also that go together. So anybody that hears this holy name makes tremendous benefit. And Srila Prabhupada goes on to mention, and I'm looking at page, the bottom of 42. Srila Prabhupada goes on to say that there's even the souls in the lower species of life, insects, birds, animals, all of them get purified just by hearing this. And then in the purport, we hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asking Haridas Thakur, how, this is the question that was posed to Haridas Thakur by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How can living entities that are lower than human beings, how can they be delivered from this material bondage? That means we are human beings. What about our compassion and caring for the insects, the birds, the animals? How can we help them? So Haridas Thakur replies, he says that this chanting of the holy name is so powerful that even by chanting in the remotest parts of a jungle, the trees and animals would advance in Krishna consciousness, simply by hearing these holy names. So here, and one beautiful example Srila Prabhupada gives in his purport is about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is page 43. When he's passing through the Jharkhand forest, and how he chanted so loudly that even, and you see such beautiful paintings about this, even the tigers, the snakes, the deers, the animals that hated each other, or like one was food for the other, they forgot, they abandoned all of their ill feelings, their animosity. They all just came together and started dancing in the kirtan. So I just want to add a word of caution now. We obviously cannot imitate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We cannot now say, oh, I'm going to go chant to wild animals or that kind of thing. No, time, place, and circumstance. If you are out and about, maybe you're going to a local park to chant your japa, or you're going on a walk and you have your beads with you, and you pass like maybe squirrels or birds, whatever, if you can chant aloud so they can hear you, even in your own yard, you can do that. So other living entities are hearing you. And also when we do Harinam, especially when we have our Sankirtan here in New Orleans, when we go to the French quarters, when we have Harinam, just think how many fortunate people are hearing this, they're hearing the names. So Srila Prabhupada goes on to mention again in the purport that this, the Dati Pratigrihanati principle is also that principle of not only giving charity, like I'm giving donation to the temple. Srila Prabhupada says that it is also giving the holy name. That is the Dati principle as well. That's an important point for us to remember. To give the holy name, to give this Krishna consciousness to others, and also to receive it. That is also giving and receiving in charity. So we should be willing to receive the knowledge. We should also be we should also not keep this Krishna consciousness to ourselves. There's I don't really know, I forget off the top of my head, but in Vrindavan, Krishna's Vrindavan Leela, there's so many like different pastimes where each one represents a different thing, that each animal Krishna fought with represents the different anarthas that we have. And I remember this clearly, that one of them is like, it's not good for us to keep Krishna consciousness to ourselves. If we've got this tremendous fortune of being part of ISKCON, we should make it our life's goal to share it with others. It doesn't happen overnight. We can try our best. Anyone that we meet, just tell them about Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada tells us as well that people come to our Sunday love feasts, they honor prasad, we invite them to our homes if we can, we give them Krishna consciousness. So I'm right here at the bottom. So he's saying that bhunkte bojayate chaiva, we invite people to Sunday feasts, they come, and sometimes they even invite us to their homes. So this is the loving exchanges. So Srila Prabhupada talks about, why do we do this? Why do we have these loving exchanges? Because it helps us be successful in our lives. It brings about peace, tranquility, and very importantly, it facilitates us having good friendship. Because like, you know, in English, there's a saying, no man is an island. We all can't live just by ourselves, you know. We always have to, human nature is, we always want to associate with others. We want to make friendship. We want to have exchanges. So ISKCON is the perfect way by which we can do this. And at the same time, grow in our Krishna consciousness as well. So I'm just going to talk about the last part of this. I'm looking quickly now at page 44. Just to quickly go on, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This is the bottom of 44. It's all of 45 as well. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj makes a very important point here. He talks about when we associating with non-devotees, we should be, I think that's going to be my next slide. So just hang on, guys. Okay, yes. Here I'm going to take it part by part. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj says, don't associate with Mayavadis and atheists, those people that don't believe in God. Don't associate with those people that just want to merge into Brahman, that kind of thing. Never inquire. Just follow my arrow, so that will make it easy for you. The Guyam, don't inquire confidentially from them. Never give or accept invitations to associate intimately with them. By intimate intermingling, your consciousness gets affected. So simple English here, this Prichati, don't become like bosom buddies, because we are not like so high up on the devotional ladder that we can like stay aloof and not be affected by their consciousness. Somehow or the other, their consciousness rubs off onto us, and we're gonna steadily like lose taste in chanting, lose taste for our own devotional practices. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj is quite heavy here. He goes on to say that the dati prati grihanati, he says, don't give or take anything from them. And bhungte bojayate, don't give or accept any food from them. And here, page 45, he goes on to elaborate, and he says that Srila Prabhupada, makes it clear to us that it's like feeding a snake milk and bananas. So Srila Prabhupada says, even if you give a snake as much milk and bananas as possible, the snake, listen to this line, there is no benefit in feeding a snake milk and bananas, because the snake will never be satisfied. On the contrary, by taking milk and bananas, the snake simply becomes more poisonous. So in that regard, we should not do that. So sometimes, like, how do we see this? Okay, here's the poisonous snake. So why is Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj saying this? Because he says sometimes any information we give to them, they can use it against us. They can use it to oppose Krishna consciousness. They can use it to promote their materialism. This is talking on maybe a community level or government level. And this point, unless one is very advanced, we are unable to utilize everyone's contribution for furthering Krishna consciousness. So what's the principle according to Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj? We should not accept charity from Mayavadis and atheists. So Srila Prabhupada could obviously do all of that because he was a self-realized soul. We obviously cannot. But in the spirit of preaching, we can give them Krishna consciousness. We can give them Krishna consciousness, but not, if we notice that they are inimical, they don't want to hear this, don't think that, no, I will definitely, my life goal, I'm going to make so-and-so a devotee. No, don't just do the best you can, but don't start associating too intimately with atheists and Mayavadis. Maybe if there's that, maybe we can leave it for senior devotees. We can leave that to our spiritual master, because they are on that, Prabhupada mentions here on page 46, they are highly advanced. They are at that Mahabhagavat level where they can do all these things. Nothing will affect them as it'll affect us. And then here, I'm just going to end off the text 5. So, I'm sorry, text 4. So here, the Dati principle, Srila Prabhupada further expounds on that, the charity. He talks about advanced devotees should give at least 50% of their salary to the service of Krishna and the devotees. So at least 50% of what you earn ideally should go to the temple and Krishna's devotees. And he gives us Srila Prabhupada, Rupa Goswami's example. Srila Rupa Goswami gave 50% to Krishna, 25% of his income he kept for, he gave towards the family, and 25% was kept just for personal. So whatever the income, that should be the principal, 50% ideally given to the temple. That fulfills the demands of the Dati principle. Whether devotees are doing that throughout ISKCON, throughout the world, I think that's just left to each devotee and how comfortable they are practicing this. Sometimes if we can't really do this in cash, we can always do service, like serve Krishna, serve the devotees. So
if we are not doing 50%, are we accumulating karmas?
According to the scriptures, I'm sure we are. Most definitely we would be, because then we're not following what the scripture tells us to do. But I think that's just basically left to each devotee and what they are comfortable to do. My personal perspective, it's just according to what each devotee is comfortable with. One of the things that just comes to my mind is Krishna doesn't see how much we give. He sees how much we're keeping behind our back. So in our hand, how much we give to Krishna, we may think we're giving a whole lot, but how much of it are we hiding behind our back? So Krishna is seeing for that. And also, if you look at like Sudama, the Brahmin, the intent is very important also, like what is your intention? Why are you giving? Krishna needs nothing from us. He has everything. He just needs, he wants us to show him our love for him. But this is also a principle that we have to keep in mind as well. So here again, this just depends on individual devotees. There are probably devotees throughout the world that are strictly following this. Here again, there may be also devotees that are unable to do this because of so many commitments. So it just depends on, what each devotee is comfortable with. So just to conclude text 4, basically we should only associate with devotees. We should obviously follow all the regulative principles. We should follow in the footsteps of previous acharyas, and we should carry out the orders of the spiritual master. I have a whole lot of notes that I want to just share with you guys on this. So before I head on to text 5, I just want to share a few things with you. So just bear with me for a moment. Okay, this I covered already, that who we associate with, that determines the kind of, consciousness we're going to have. This is what I just said. We should keep company with devotees, observe the regulative principles, follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, fully obey the orders of the spiritual master. And what's a result of all of this? We're going to revive that dormant Krishna consciousness. So the whole thing here is ideally it's the principle of surrender, surrendering ourselves to the spiritual master and the acharyas and following in their footsteps. I liked this, so I included this. This was a lecture that Srila Prabhupada gave in 1972. He says, love means 6 symptoms. I give you something, you give me something. I give you something for eating, you also give me something for eating. Dadati pratigrihanati bhunkte bojayate guyam akyati prichati. So the 6 is right there. If I'm in trouble, I express my mind, I open my mind before you, and you also try to help me. And if you are in trouble, you express your mind to me, and I'll also try to help you. So can you see how beautiful this process is? It's not like just, I should say, like parasitical, where we just taking and giving nothing in exchange. For each one, there's a corresponding action. I invite you for prasad, you invite me. Or I go to the temple, take prasad, I also invite the devotees. I reveal my mind, and I also inquire at the same time. I give in charity, and I also receive the holy name. So everything Srila Prabhupada says is an exchange of love. So here again, I included a lecture. So Krishna, and to quote Srila Prabhupada, so Krishna is teaching us give and take. You give something. Krishna is begging. You try to love me. You learn how to love me. Give me. And Srila Prabhupada is acting like he's saying, sir, I have nothing to give you. And Krishna is saying, oh, you cannot collect a little fruit and flower and leaf and little water? Oh, yes, why not? Anyone can collect. So see how beautiful Srila Prabhupada says this, that sometimes when we go to temple, try to make it like a habit. Just take something for Krishna. Sometimes if it's just get into the habit, I normally, and it's become like second nature to me. As I'm walking past my front garden, I just pick a rose and give that to Prabhupada. For me, when I give it to Prabhupada, he's going to offer it to the previous acharyas and they're going to offer it to Krishna. So I always try to take something for Srila Prabhupada. Like most of you have beautiful gardens. So next time you're going to the temple, just do it, and you never believe it. After a while, it's going to be second nature. As you're walking out your door, you're going to reach straight away to pick up a flower. Keep that flower, go to the temple, offer it to the deities, or offer it to Prabhupada. So that's what Krishna wants from us, just our love and devotion. Okay, moving on to the next one. Okay, this part I wanted to quickly share with you, because it talks about how, and it's from Srimati Mataji's The Guide. And this is something, I don't know how many of you, Madhurima, you just have to mute your sound, please. So I don't know how many of you look through this guide, but this really touched my heart, because so many of us, when we are in Krishna consciousness, we think, oh, why don't, if only I could find out about like deities that like reciprocated with the devotees, that'll be so nice. And we hear that there's so many books written, especially look at Jagannath in Rajapur Jagannath. There's a whole book written about how he reciprocated, even our Nishringadev in Mayapur. So this touched my heart and I wanted to include it. So I'm going to go quickly and read it through. The following episode did not take place a few hundred years ago in Jagannath Puri Dham. It happened just a few years ago in an ordinary ISKCON temple established by the dedicated followers of Srila Prabhupada. On 18th April 2012 at 9 o'clock, the ISKCON temple in Estonia, which is Eastern Europe, in Tallinn, received a call. The devotee who answered the call was surprised to find that it was a Mataji calling from India. She said that the temple's deity of Lord Jagannath had come to her in a dream and was complaining about how they were taking care of him. Jagannath told her that after he had been brought to the temple, he had been taken care of very nicely, but after a short time, the devotees didn't give him enough to eat. The Mataji said that Jagannath particularly complained about not being given some mangoes that the pujari had. After the dream, the Mataji started praying to Lord Jagannath, requesting him to please reveal to her which temple was his residence. That night, she had another dream wherein she saw some Western country, a temple, and the text Estonia. The next day, she found the temple's phone number on the internet and she called. The Indian Mataji emphatically asked, what do you feed him in the evenings? Milk. In addition to milk, you must give him some other preparations. Also, please offer him the mangoes he asked for. After putting the phone down, the devotee went and told some of the other devotees about the highly unconventional call. It just so happened that there were 3 mangoes left after the previous festival. Seeing that they were green, the pujari did not put them on the offering plate as he was afraid that they were not ripe. But after the call, the devotees decided that they should immediately run and offer the mangoes to Jagannath. Later, when they tasted Jagannath's mango prasad, they were delighted to find that it was exceptionally sweet, like pure nectar. So this is the source is also from this publication, Sri Krishna Kathamrita. So here I included that just to show you that when we engage in serving Krishna, he reciprocates. He doesn't need anything from us. He just needs us to serve him with love. And in so many instances, he is right there reciprocating to us. One other quick thing I wanted to share with you that deals with the loving exchanges. These are 4 principles to community building. And if you get a chance, it'll be so nice if you can even like print it out and have it somewhere where you can see it every day. The source for this is from one of our departed spiritual masters, Bhakti Tirtha Swami. He tells us that we all have to live in a community, whether we are living in Alachua or in Atlanta or New York or in Mayapur or in New Orleans. We are all part of a Krishna conscious community. And he gives us 4 principles to community building. And see how nicely he writes these. The first one, he says, we should view all conflict as your fault first. So look first, be introspective. If you're having a conflict with another devotee, Maharaj is being so emphatic. He says, view it as your fault first. See where you went wrong. Why he's saying that? Because obviously he understands our human nature. We are so quick to blame the other party. No, that person did that, that person did that. Very rarely do we look at ourselves first. So Maharaj is saying, if you're having some kind of conflict, the first principle of conflict resolution, be introspective. Look to see how you went wrong and what you did wrong. Then next he says, think of the person you love the most and aspire to treat everyone with that same quality of love. For example, if you are a mom and obviously you love your child the most, so the way you love your child, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj is saying, you should aspire to treat everyone with that same love. So what he's trying to say here is be loving to everyone. Sometimes we don't know what the next person is going through. We don't know what issues, what problems they may be having on a daily basis. So always just give love. The third one, treat everyone you encounter as if the success or failure of your spiritual life depends on the quality of your interactions with them. So here Maharaj is saying, whoever you encounter, what type of interaction you have with them. If you're constantly having bad interactions with devotees, then you should know that you're not being successful in your spiritual life. So you have to fix that. You have to work to improve that. You have to work to improve your interactions. And lastly, realize that people, this was the one that really struck me. Realize that people in your present environment might very well be the people with whom you live out your life and who are likely to be with you at the time of death. So Maharaj is saying that you don't know. You probably bought a house in New Orleans or wherever you're staying and you're going to live there your whole life. So why not maintain good relationships with everyone and realize that these people are going to be with you till the day you leave your body. Okay, so text 4 was really long and I hope you appreciate it. I know I'm going all over the place because I'm trying to make sure that I cover all 6 loving exchanges. One other quick thing, and I'm just, excuse me for a minute, I'm just quickly looking at my notes. Srila Prabhupada had so many, when it came to prasadam and like sharing prasad, you know, in the old days when Srila Prabhupada just came to the West for the first time, he had nothing. I was reading a pastime where Srila Prabhupada said that, or one of the memories was that Srila Prabhupada had nothing to share with the devotees. And all after the first meeting with some people that some devotees or aspiring devotees had come, he just he took an apple and just beautifully cut up an apple and shared with everyone that was in the room a piece of that apple. And that was so beautiful. Whatever little he had, he shared with everyone. So we should always do that. Always share prasad and take care of devotees. Offer to them because that shows our love for them. And one other quick thing that struck me about Srila Prabhupada was one devotee asked him, and this was some research I was doing, and Hayagriva Prabhu asked Srila Prabhupada, you know so many recipes, where did you learn it from? And Srila Prabhupada said, by watching his mother, by asking his mother. And one thing which I always struck me, Srila Prabhupada was an expert cook. I mean, he was expert in everything that he did. And recently I read something where Srila Prabhupada said, it was Yamuna Mataji sharing a realization on YouTube. And she was saying that, you know, Srila Prabhupada taught the devotees how to cook everything that they learned. I mean, she's got her famous cookbook. Srila Prabhupada taught her everything. And Srila Prabhupada could cook so much in a short space of time. And one thing she shared was Srila Prabhupada once remarked, he said, on a single burner, I can cook in 30 minutes for 30 people, a full course meal. So I was like, oh, wow, you know, who can look at Srila Prabhupada? And he always taught us to always honor and serve. And so many people, look at people like for the likes of like Steve Jobs. He always mentioned that in my college days, it was ISKCON that helped me out. I would cycle across town and go on a Sunday, go take prasadam at the ISKCON temple. So many devotees really rely on us for all of this. Let me see, what else have I missed? Oh, once Srila Prabhupada, this realization, and these are just things about the loving exchanges that I'm including on. Some devotees, it was Srila Prabhupada's Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj's appearance day. This was in the early days of the movement. And the devotees were so used to having evening programs. So they were preparing for an evening program. And they had planned everything. They said not many people will come during the day, so we'll just have an evening program to honor Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj's appearance day. And at lunchtime, when Srila Prabhupada noontime, he came into the temple room, he asked the devotees, where's the Pushpanjali? Are you all done cooking? What have you all cooked for my Guru Maharaj? And the devotees had done nothing. And Srila Prabhupada then remarked that Vyasa Puja had to be done at noon. And he goes into the kitchen and himself, he cooked so many items and had a big feast and fed all of the devotees. So I put that in there to just show that in the early days, Srila Prabhupada had to show the devotees practically how to do this. Also, you know, how we should also help out in any way possible. Let me just quickly, one other thing. In those days, Srila Prabhupada used to always go to bookstores and see, like there was a bookstore he used to visit, and he would supply them with books. And every so often he would go and talk to the bookkeeper and see how many books she had sold, because Srila Prabhupada would get a commission for the books. And once, very casually, the lady storekeeper, she mentioned to Prabhupada that she liked Indian samosas. And the next time Srila Prabhupada went to the bookstore, he took a big tray of samosas for her. So can you see how nice he reciprocated? He didn't have to do that, but he's showing us through his example how we should reciprocate. And I'm just coming back to this here. I included these letters. I'm going to send you, like I always do, the slideshow. So here I just included many letters. Here Srila Prabhupada is talking to Govardhan Das. He says a devotee should associate with fellow devotees. You should try to elevate a devotee, pick them up, help them. And then the next one. Here, Nrihari Das, he's saying that we should associate with one another so that we can assist each other in hearing and chanting about Krishna. That is our purpose of this Krishna consciousness movement. And the last one, he says, this is so beautiful. To Madhusudan Prabhu, he says, affection for God brothers is nice. It is a good sign. Affection for God brothers as well as for all living entities, even they are not God brothers. These signs are seen in the advanced devotee. And there's 3 kinds of devotees. That's going to be the next verse. And here, Srila Prabhupada ends off by talking to Govinda Dasi. He says, why I have opened this society. I was living with 4 children and now I have 4,000. There is no good in living alone. So we know now those figures are more than 4,000, obviously. It's maybe like 1,000 times more than that. So Srila Prabhupada started off this movement with so few, but his idea was to please Krishna. And that was definitely done. Okay, so let me just quickly, I'm looking at time. I need to move on. I don't want to miss anything. I think I covered most of it. Basically, just to sum up this text 4, always give, and give. Giving should never be enough for us. Basically, that service attitude. If I want to sum everything up, our service attitude, always trying to serve devotees, not expecting to be served by devotees, but always wanting to serve devotees. But having said that, also sometimes if devotees want to reciprocate with us, accept that as well, because that's their love to us. Don't be like, no, I can't accept. You don't want to offend anybody. You don't want to hurt their feelings. We are a movement where we have these 6 beautiful loving exchanges. I have a few more things to add, but I don't really have the time. So I'm going to just quickly move on. One other quick thing. Srila Prabhupada also mentions about George Harrison. You can read that up, how he used Krishna consciousness, in his personal life as well. And how he tried to become too Krishna conscious, but his fans started turning against him. And then Srila Prabhupada advised him, like, don't overdo it. And he toned down a bit, but, he was the one that donated Bhaktivedanta Manor to us. Okay, and just to end off text 5, I have written this: charity is not an act of giving, it is an attitude. I'm getting everything from Krishna, and we have to make it a duty to give back in some way. So, okay. I'm gonna, because of time constraints, I'm moving on to 5 because I have to cover 5 and 6. So text 5 deals with now who Rupa Goswami tells us, and this I'm looking at page 47. So if we have to associate, Rupa Goswami tells us, who do we associate with? How do we choose our friends? Is there a booklet that we read and we know how to do it? How do we choose? Excuse me. So I'm going to quickly look at the verse. Text 5. So the heading of text 5 is we associate according to the levels of advancement. So Krishneti yasya giritam manasa driyeta dikshasti chet pranati bhischa bhajantam isham shushrusaya bhajana vigyan ananyam anya nindadi sunya hridam ipsita sangha labdhya. So translation. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So in this text, Srila Prabhupada is telling us, he's giving us, I'm sorry, not Srila Prabhupada, Rupa Goswami is giving us specific instructions, and Srila Prabhupada will break each one down for in the purport, telling us exactly what we should do. But Rupa Goswami is saying, who do we associate with? How do we choose who is going to be our friend, who we're going to take spiritual instructions from? So here, if you look at the mind map, it's very nicely done. So basically, there are 3 levels of devotees. We have the first level, Kanishta Adhikari, then Madhyam, and Uttam. So according to the 3 levels, we pick and choose our association. So here, how do we know who to associate with? How do we differentiate? How do we know? Now, firstly, let's look at the Kanishta Adhikari. This is, I should say, a devotee that's new to Krishna consciousness. Sometimes it could even be a devotee that's been in Krishna consciousness as well for a long time, but they have not left the Kanishta level. So this I want you to just keep at the back of your mind, that there's a progression. There should be a progression. It doesn't mean that you're going to just come and stay at this level. From Kanishta, you're going to move on to Madhyam, and finally you would like to get to the Uttam level. So what is the, I should say, what are the characteristics of one who is at this Kanishta level? So this devotee, he or she worships only the deities. For them, the deity is everything. It's only Krishna and Krishna service and everything dealing with Krishna. That is really good, but see what the second quality that this person has shows. He may be a beautiful, or she may be a wonderful, dedicated pujari doing everything. Or when they go to the temple, they just worship Krishna, take Krishna things, do all of that. That is really good. But look at the corresponding action. However, what makes this person at the lowest level, that neophyte, Srila Prabhupada used the word neophyte, that lowest level or the beginning level, this devotee, unfortunately, does not know how to behave with other devotees. He or she does not know how to relate to other devotees. So for them, Krishna is everything, and they misbehave. For want of a better word, they misbehave with other devotees. They probably rude, not too kind, not helpful to others. Srila Prabhupada goes on to say in the purport that this person could be Harinam initiate, that means taken their Diksha, and they are trying to chant. They're trying their best to become a good devotee. According to their faith, it's like a banana tree. It's not a banyan tree, it's a banana tree. Banyan tree going to be the Uttam level. It's very soft, pliable faith, very unsteady faith. So what should we do with a person like this if we come into contact with the person at this level, at this Kanishta level? Srila Prabhupada says in his purport that we should just, within our mind, offer respects to the person. Just offer respects within our mind. But, if we at that level where we feel we can help the person, then we should try to help them. If not, just within the mind, just, try to help them. Just offer respects, and that's it. In the purport, and I'm looking at 48, Srila Prabhupada goes on to talk about Uttam and the Madhyam level. I'm going quickly to 49. Srila Prabhupada says that we should not stay at this Kanishta level. We want to become better and better. And he says that as we move on, our Krishna consciousness becomes more rooted, more deep. We should not consider a devotee's birth, where they're coming from. We should just be mindful and be good to everyone. That's on the Madhyam level. Let me just move on. Okay, just give me 1 second. The next part of it. Oh, just give me 1 second, guys. I think I mixed my pages. Just 1 second. Yeah, I had it. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that Kanishta level, now we don't want to be at that Kanishta level, obviously, because if you were looking at the mind map, you would have said, oh, no, this part I have a problem with. No one should behave badly with other devotees. So we don't want to be at this level. So the next level is mentioned, the Madhyam level. At this level, the person is spiritually initiated. They've got Diksha from a spiritual master. They are fully engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So see this Madhyam level, it's in the middle. It's between Kanishta and Uttam. They're not there yet. They're obviously not at Kanishta level, but they haven't reached the Uttam level. So this person or persons here are in the middle. So here Srila Prabhupada, goes on in the purport. He quotes Bhagavatam. He says, 11 to 46, a devotee who worships the Supreme Lord as the highest object of love. He makes friends with the Lord's devotees. He's merciful to the ignorant. He avoids those who are envious by nature. So here, see, upeksha. So he's friends with the devotees. He avoids the envious. He has knowledge of Shastra, but it's inconclusive. That means it's not complete knowledge of Shastra. However, he has positive qualities. He's faithful, he's firm in his chanting, and I'm using he or she. He's undeterred, he continues this Krishna consciousness in any circumstance. He's fixed up, he's merciful to other devotees. He knows that Krishna is the object of love, and he's generally a good devotee here. And then in the purport, it's mentioned that there's different types of Vaishnavas. Some people are still chanting, but they still attached to all the material conceptions. But Srila Prabhupada, one thing in the purport that really struck me, he said that that's why we have this ISKCON. This ISKCON is here just to make sure that within the association of devotees, we steadily climb this ladder from Kanishta to Madhyam to finally being at that Uttam level. So in the association of devotees, hearing, chanting, and page 53, avoiding the 10 offenses while we are chanting, to not, make sure that we do offenseless chanting. All of that helps us. Everyone can come and join us, sit with us, take prasad, hear about Krishna. And in the purport, it's mentioned that when you become serious, you start chanting, that's when you can take spiritual initiation. And then how should we interact with a Madhyam devotee? We should obviously offer respects to him, seek his association. And then the last phase, or the last part, is the self-realized soul, the Uttam. The difference between Madhyam and Uttam is this person is uncritical. Even if a pure devotee criticizes him, he's without false ego or envy. He, out of great pain and regret, he tries to help. He realizes what everyone is going through in the material world. Basically, he treats everyone as equal. He doesn't see there's a devotee, there's a non-devotee. The Madhyam person at this level distinguishes between the devotee and non-devotee. But the Uttam does not. He sees everyone with the equal vision. He hates this alike. See, he hates the disease, not the diseased person. So he thinks somebody has a problem, I have to help them. He's pure, free from all anarthas, self-regulated, seriously engaged in the Lord's service, strict in following the 4 regs, propagates, expounds this Krishna consciousness, disinterested, not interested in material enjoyment. And one of the things that is mentioned here, that he goes out to, and this is the last part of it, I'm just trying to quickly get it. One most important thing is he tries and he works to convert all of those people that are not. Bhaktivinoda Thakur tells us this, that this person, his main objective, he converts devotees to Vaishnavism. This is an Uttam. So he's offenseless. He's the best guru. So here straight away we think of all of the gurus that we are so fortunate to have in ISKCON, that are going out and giving us all this Krishna consciousness. So they are at that Uttam level. So here, when as our faith grows, with faith we start off, we inquire, then we associate with the pure soul, we serve the pure soul, and then our faith gets more stronger and stronger, till it gets to like a banyan tree and not a banana tree like the Kanishta. So basically, Kanishta, just to sum up, Kanishta Adhikari, this devotee only sees another devotee just like bodily concept. He sees only the body. Here, Madhyam level, we see others, their body and soul. But the devotee that's at the Uttam level, he sees only the soul, whether it's an animal, a human being, whatever. He sees everybody as just the soul. So this is a nice way to remember. First is body, then body and soul. And the best level is you look at every individual living entity as just a spirit soul that is part of Krishna. How we should reciprocate with each level: we should offer respects in our mind. to the Kanishta. We should offer obeisances at the Madhyam level to the devotee. And we, at the Uttam level, we should offer obeisances, hanker for this devotees association, and serve them. Now, one thing our mind may tell us straight away is like, oh, I wonder which level I'm at. Oh, we should try not to, we should always see ourselves as being the lowest of the low. We should always try to serve everyone. We should not be going out and say, oh, I wonder he's Kanishta, he's Uttam, I wonder if he's Madhyam. No, that is not something we can do. We have to always see ourselves as being the lowest of the low, and everybody else as being a better devotee than us. That is how we're going to improve. That is what, like, true humility. I'm trying to see if I left anything. For this was also, it was very short. It wasn't too many things here. Srila Prabhupada ends off by saying that we are so, we are so fortunate. We just have to, find a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and surrender to him. And even in Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada mentions that Krishna says, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. So with this surrender, everything comes. But basically, whichever temple we are attached to, just always be good and kind to everyone. What we should do if somebody has a problem with us, then try to maybe, talk to them. If they're not willing to hear, maybe ask somebody to mediate, help you out. But don't keep any grudges or bad feelings. I noticed that in Kali Yuga, sometimes, we're so wary to ask for help, ask for advice. We should not do that. This movement is a blessing that Srila Prabhupada has given to us. It's the greatest blessing that we have. We should always help each other. Sometimes misconceptions, that's the wrong word. Sometimes for small petty things, there's so much of miscommunication. Sorry, that's the word. Miscommunications happen so easily. So we should always try to help each other out. Help each other out and please Srila Prabhupada. He will be very happy with us. I think I'm done with all of this, and I'm going to move on. Let's see, because time-wise, I got another half an hour to go. Yes, let me get on to the last text, which is 6. So 5, we did the 6 loving exchanges. 4, we did the 6 loving exchanges. 5, we did the different levels of devotees who basically, one thing that I missed to say is that we should try and associate with those devotees that help our Krishna consciousness the most. If you feel inspired in that devotee's association to do more service, to become a better devotee, to serve Krishna more, then that should be the sign for you. Just 1 minute, my battery is low here. So that devotee should be the devotee that you should hanker for their association. You should want to associate with them more. You should want to take their association, be within their company. That's going to help you. So, and sometimes if you find that, how to differentiate, like who to make your friend, because that's what Rupa Goswami said this verse was about. Who to make your friend. If you find that somebody is not talking too much about Krishna consciousness, they're not, helping you too much, then very nicely you should just maybe, try in a way, just Hare Krishna, Hare Bol, inquire, but not associate too much with them. So basically you have to remember this devotional creeper, this Bhakti Lata Bij, it's each one of us, our responsibility. We can't commit any offenses, have that mad elephant trampling around in our garden. We have to take care of this Bhakti Lata, this creeper. We have to make sure that we always water it with good association. Feed it with all of this good association. And sometimes if it's bad association without us realizing it, if you read the scriptures, you'll notice that When devotees commit offenses, then they lose their taste for bhakti. They lose their taste for Krishna consciousness. It becomes such a chore to just pick up their bead bag and chant their japa. Or if mom says go to the temple, you're like, oh, it's Sunday already. I have to go again to the temple. You know, that kind of attitude. Whereas the converse should be true. It should be like, oh, when can I serve Krishna? How can I serve? And now, yes, it's COVID times. We're all stuck at home. I shouldn't say stuck at home. It's a perfect opportunity. We have internet access. We can associate through that. We can read. We can join all these Zoom talks and these sessions that are going on throughout the world and associate with devotees in that way. And coming to the last text, text 6, this one is, the heading of this verse is associating with the pure soul. So let me quickly go on to this. Okay, I think we got the wrong, text here. We got text 5 again, I think. So if I can ask you to, I'm sorry for that. If you can just go to your books for this, because I think we didn't put the right one. Let me just, yeah, it was the wrong one. So if you can just look at your books for this. Driste svabhava janiter vapushascha doser na prakritatvam iha bhakta janasya pashyat Ganga bhasam na kalu buddha fena panker brahma dravatvam apagachati nira dharme. Translation. It's quite a long translation. Let's see what Srila Rupa Goswami is going to tell us. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee's having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganges water does not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. So here, let me just move on. I'm going to have this displayed so you can look at it. So here, Sri Rupa Goswami is saying how to associate with an advanced devotee. So he's telling us what not to do. All the offenses against a pure devotee. Do not think. He's telling us in the translation what we should be wary of. Don't criticize a devotee because of their bodily defects, because of maybe their complexion, their body, how they are. Don't do that. And he goes on to, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, don't consider a sadhu as an ordinary human being. Even if a sadhu has an accidental fall down, that means even if he commits some kind of offense or makes mistakes, because he is wholeheartedly engaged in devotional service, the Lord in his heart purifies him and excuses him from whatever abomination he may do. And this is that verse, Api Chet Suduracharo. So you can read this a little bit more. But basically, don't hold it against a person what their background is, how their body, their physical body looks like. Because you basically know, whenever we preach to newcomers, what's the first thing that comes out of our mouth to them when we talk? We say, you are not this body, you are the spirit soul. So why then should we look at a person and how they're any kind of bodily defects that they have? Then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks a little bit more about, and let me see if I missed any of this. Oh, to tie it into text 5, the previous text, the Kanishta devotee cannot does not simply concerned with worshiping the devotees. They look at not focusing too much about how to take care of devotees. Whereas the Madhyam devotee, he treats devotees differently, he treats non-devotees differently. But whereas the Uttam devotee, he treats everyone the same, whether they're devotee or non-devotee. He's good and kind to everyone. He focuses mainly on the soul, so he gives Krishna consciousness to everyone. So let me move on. So Srila Prabhupada is saying also here, don't consider the person's birth, even if not from a Brahmin or Goswami family. Who is a Goswami? If those of you have visited Vrindavan, you know that there's so many devotees that serve, like Radharaman temple, and so many. They are born in the Brahmin family, and their last name is Goswami, and they worship the deities, and that's their birthright. But Srila Prabhupada goes on to mention that this Goswami title is actually the monopoly of a pure devotee. It's not hereditary. It shouldn't be from birth, because Srila Prabhupada says, look at Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. They were given from the title from Mahaprabhu. They were made into Goswamis. Like Srila Prabhupada gave so many devotees when he gave them Diksha, like say Tamal Krishna Goswami. His end of his name was Goswami. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that that this is not a hereditary thing. This can be anyone. And here he's saying that Goswami families may criticize devotees. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that they may say, oh, you ISKCON people, you have these American Vaishnavas, you all are, we don't take you as proper devotees. But that they are envious. We shouldn't be envious of Western sannyasis. We should know that this Goswami title can be not only for those people born in India in the Brahmin caste, but it can be given to anyone that is practicing a good devotee. And Srila Prabhupada definitely did this for so many of his devotees. Let's see what I left here. Material vision, not observe actions of pure devotees from a material perspective. We should see how he is serving the Lord. So always make sure that our eyes are not tainted with these different, like anger, jealousy, envy. Always look at the devotee to see how they're serving the Lord. We shouldn't look at them with material vision. What's the origin of external vision? Thinks that Krishna consciousness is limited to. Oh, Srila Prabhupada goes on to say here that this is such a bad attitude to have. We should never think that Krishna consciousness is limited to only a certain sector or section of people, a certain group of devotees, devotees from a certain tract of land, that, only Indian people from India can take to Krishna consciousness. We should not do that. Krishna consciousness is for everyone. It's a worldwide movement. The pure devotee is there to advise us, to correct us. And when we commit offenses, what is bad about this? It's very dangerous and obstructive to our Bhakti Lata beach. It prevents us from advancing forward and moving ahead. And practically, how we can see this in our spiritual lives, we notice that we slowly start to, it happens very, it just creeps up on us. Slowly, we start losing taste for everything. We don't want to go to temple too much. We'd rather watch TV than chant or do all these things. We get it slowly away from spirituality. When that slowly starts to happen, then we should check ourselves. That's why it's important to have good association, because then that's when we help each other out. Oh, no, help each other to always maintain this good Krishna consciousness. So if we are committing offenses, it's going to show up in that way. And then Srila Prabhupada goes on to talk about, and I just jumped all over the place in the purport. I'm looking at it. So he ends off this text 6 by talking about his godbrothers. That's why this is included at the bottom. He says that when he was preaching and practicing, and taking this Krishna consciousness throughout the world, his godbrothers, look here, did not appreciate him. Many of them did not think that he was going to succeed, you know, and they did not realize that he was, see, the main secret of Srila Prabhupada's success was he was so totally committed to his spiritual master. Like he mentioned that never was there a time when I was never alone. My Guru Maharaj is always with me. So he was such an empowered person. And how do they treat him? An empowered person should not be treated as an ordinary human being, which his god brothers did. He was, you know, Shakti of Vesh. He had Krishna empowered him with the spirit. Let me just see if I have missed anything. So basically this whole text associate with a pure devotee. Get all of our gurus association, pure devotees. Make sure that we don't hold against devotees, against like what types of body they have, their birth, all of that. We look more to what we are gaining from them. And just excuse me, I'm just quickly looking at my notes. Oh, we should also, if Srila Prabhupada saying here, if you get the Goswami title awarded to you, don't become too puffed up and too proud. Don't think, oh, I'm better than everybody else, because, you know, they say pride comes before a fall. Very soon you're going to fall. Something, you know, you're going to become envious, jealous. You're going to fall down from that, that stage that you are in. Don't consider bodily defects. Don't commit offenses to Vaishnavas. Take instructions from a superior Vaishnava. And let me see if I left everything. Oh, basically, I'm just going to end with, don't be jealous, envious of a Vaishnava. Just know that devotees are there just to help us and make us more Krishna conscious. So just to sum up for time constraints, I know we have the quiz to take as well. So 4, 5, and 6, I think these were such beautiful verses telling us who to, the 6 loving exchanges, how to reciprocate. See, it's like such a nice formula. It's such a nice handbook. Remember once we covered where we said this should be like made into a necklace and carried around our neck all the time, because this is such a great handbook of how to live our lives on a practical level. So text 4, 6 loving exchanges, how to reciprocate with devotees, what to do. Text 5, you know, the different types of devotees, how to choose our friends. And text 6, the pure devotee, how to recognize the pure devotee and how not to commit any offenses to that devotee, because what is our ultimate goal? To always serve Krishna and love Krishna and go back home, back to Krishna. So let me move on to the next one. Okay, the one about the Ganges water, if I did, and I didn't explain that, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, Rupa Goswami says that like the Ganges can never be polluted. There may be like bubble and foam and everything in it, but the Ganges is still pure. In the same way, a pure devotee does not have any impurities in them. So he uses that analogy of the Ganges. Oh, I just wanted to put this in here for you before I show you. The next one is, I just included this, and I took this from Srimati Mataji's guidebook to this Nectar of Instruction. I liked this. When I was studying psychology many years back, I came across both of these. So how do we perceive things? Sometimes we look at one thing and I can see something in one way and maybe you see something in a different way. So this was just something because it was included in the guidebook, I wanted to just have some fun moments with you. So I'm gonna put this in here. And if you can unmute as well, and you can tell me what you see. And we're gonna look at this one first. We're not looking at this first, we're looking at this. So if anybody looks at this image, if you can quickly unmute and tell me what you see.
Cross and arrow and one a girl.
Okay, I'm looking at this one here first. Is that Abhigyan Prabhu? Okay,
Yes,
Abhigyan Prabhu. What did you see here for this one?
This the second one is as a young girl.
Okay.
The first one is cross and arrows.
Okay, anybody else want to share with us? Anybody else would like to share?
And face.
Let's take one at a time. Let's look at this one. What do you see when you look at it?
A young lady or an old woman.
Okay, that was nice. Is that Anu? Okay, Anu. Anu have seen them both. Everybody see the young girl? Everybody see the young girl? Yes, no, you can unmute for this, guys.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay, there should be both. So everybody see the young girl in this? Who doesn't see the young girl? Bhagavat, anybody else don't see the young girl? Okay, Jagannath. I'm gonna help you. Let me give you some clues. See the young girl. This is gonna be, she's wearing like a very fancy hat. See, this is her hair here. She's got like a feather coming up here. This is her fur coat. This is part of her, see her ears here? Jagannath, see, that's her ears there. This is her chin. Her jaw, sorry, and her chin. And her face is turned to one side. See? This is her face here. I actually like that some of you can't see it because I know after the class you're going to be studying it. I know when I looked at this like maybe 30 years ago, I was like, what? I had to get somebody to help me see it. Those of you that can't see the young girl, after the class, study it till you see it. I liked Anu and somebody else had said, who's
I don't understand the other one, the first one.
Okay, no, we didn't get to this first one yet. We're still looking at this. We're looking at the young girl. So if you can't see the young girl, I'm showing you. There's her ears, there's her jaw, there's her face. She's turned to one side. She got a big, like a hat, and with a fur coat, and there's a feather coming out of her hat. Anybody see the old lady? Anybody don't see the old lady?
No, I don't see old lady.
The old lady.
I see the old lady.
I'll see the old lady. Okay. The old lady is fun. Can I tell you something? When I show her to you, you're never gonna not see her. Next time you look at this, you're gonna see the old lady. Abhigyan Prabhu, this is for you. Next time you see this old lady, this picture, you're gonna see the old lady straight away. Watch. Let me give you clues. There's her mouth. There's her nose. This part here is her nose. Watch. This is her nose. The tip of her nose. There's her eyes.
Oh, now I see it.
Now shake your head. Shake your head. Look at it again. There's her eyes. This is her jaw. See, she's got a jaw that sticks out. See her jaw. This is part of her jaw right here. Her chin is right here. There's her mouth. This is her nose. So it's a young lady and an old lady in the same picture. And then this one, what did you all see here?
I see two arrows that are on top of each other.
Okay. Two black arrows with the black. Okay. That's one way of looking at it. What's the other way?
There's white arrows going in.
Arrows.
Yes, it's a white arrow. See, 1, 2, 3, 4 white arrows. So one way is the 4 white arrows. The other way is the crisscross 2 black arrows. Okay, so I hope you all like that. How good is my vision? Why did I include this in here? It was in this Srimati Mataji's guide, but I liked it because it shows us that in spirituality, we look at things from such different perspectives. Our vision sometimes is clouded by so many things. So sometimes we need a little bit of help from like how we helped each other today. Spiritual life is the same way. Sometimes we can't see something. We need somebody else to help us. So basically, it's like a team effort. You can't see something the first time around. When somebody shows it to you, then you can't not see it. After that, you're always going to only see it. So that's how I thought about that. Okay, I'm going to include this, but I don't have time to read it. You should read this. It's about, and I like this, it's about how Srila Prabhupada had a loving exchange with one of his disciples. And it was so beautiful, so beautiful. I don't want to spend time. We got like, 14 minutes to go and we still have the quiz. If I have time at the end, I'll come back to it. But I'm going to include it in your slideshow so you can read it. Okay, homework. I've been so nice to you for this time. if your only homework for today is if you did not turn in previous homework, please do that. That's going to be your homework to do your other homework. And if you've done all your other homework and everything, you are up to date with everything, you've sent me everything, then I should like to start getting you to prepare for your exams. And all of the videos we've done thus far, I will make it available from Monday onwards. So start preparing for the exams, go in your study guide. You can see there's for Nectar in instruction, there's I think about 30 plus questions for the closed book, and then there's I think about 7 questions for the open book. So start looking at all of them, because we got 2 more classes to go and then we're going to be over with it.
We also have to memorize some shlokas, right?
I must just go back and check that, Prabhu. I think we will have to, yes. It's important that we do, but I'll just double check on that. And thank you for bringing that up, so I will go check that. Let me just move on. Okay, we're getting to our pop quiz. So there we go. You can go ahead and start taking it.
Animaj, I have a question. It says in this verse, which verse are you talking about? The 4 or 5 or 6? Or all of them?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I should have been more clear in this verse. I think it's 4.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Wait. Should. Okay, one quick thing, when you get to question 9, there's just one word that has to be taken out. So it should be, the word not has to be taken out. So it should be, how should a pure devotee be treated? Not how they should not be treated. But when you get to 9, I'll help you out.
Mataji, I think the 9th question should have the not. It is right.
Let me go ahead and check. An empowered person should not be treated.
Because the answers will be not treated only.
Let me just quickly look at that, Prabhu. Let me just quickly look at that.
I think it's correct.
Okay, yes, for 9, we'll leave it as it is then.
Mataji, while we are taking tests, I would like to just tell you one comment.
Sure.
That that you have been teaching us so nicely, and I feel like we are in the primary school and you are our primary school teacher sometime. and 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 that's how I feel in this class all the time. So thank you, Mataji.
Oh, you're welcome. And I'm sorry, I can't see. I don't know who that is.
This is Abhigyan, Mataji.
Oh, it's Abhigyan. Okay, your screen froze. I couldn't see you. Thank you, Abhigyan, Prabhu. I'm trying my best. It's been a beautiful experience for me because I learn along all of you. I learn alongside, or I should say, I learn with all of you. So thank you for that.
Are you a school teacher, Mataji?
Yes, I am, Prabhu. You can tell that.
Yes. Which grade do you teach, Mataji?
I teach. I used to be a high school teacher, but now I'm an 8th grade teacher.
Okay.
See how many. Okay, so you just have another 3 minutes to go, and 65% of you are done with it. So we just have to wait a little bit more for the others to get done.
Mataji, I just wanted to tell you that you can continue if you want for 10-15 minutes more, because the other Bengali class I can start with the other ID, so there is no problem.
Sure, sure. I have 3 minutes more, but thank you so much for that, Prabhu.
Yeah, I forgot about that, because other times I have that same ID for both the classes.
Uh-huh.
So I have to switch over, but now I can start that on the other computer and I can,
Okay.
your class can go on. You can take another 10-15 minutes if you like.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, guys, your 10 minutes are up. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to end the poll and start looking at our answers. So let's go to the answer screen. We're going to have that there. Let's put the answer screen. Okay, so if we can all just quickly look at the answers together. So even if you got things wrong or right, it's not a problem. We're just going through it, because some of them, like I looked at question 10, I didn't really tell you too much about that you just had to make an educated guess. So let's go ahead and look at it. Question 1, in this verse, Sri Rupa Goswami explains how to A, which is the right answer, perform devotional service in the association of other devotees. So I'm sorry for this. It's supposed to say in text 4. That was text 4. So the first one, I hope you all, I see most of you got that. Yep. So text 4 was, we should all perform devotional service in the association of devotees. Question 2, an ordinary man can carefully revive his dormant Krishna consciousness simply by, the answer is, let me just scroll down there, by reciprocating in the 6 ways of loving exchanges with devotees. So if you see I'm screen sharing it, you can see that quite a lot of you got this right as well. I'm moving on to 3. Distributing the holy name is remember, part of that charity thing. That is the Dati principle. Distributing, giving the holy name. Okay. The Guyam Akiti Prichiti, most of you chose that. It was actually not that. The Guyam one is like revealing your mind in confidence and getting confidential help from devotees. So the Dati is the one where you giving charity. Charity doesn't only mean donation. Charity means also giving the holy name, distributing the holy name. So just to help you understand that better. Number 4, by Diksha, one gradually becomes disinterested in what and gradually becomes interested in what. So the answer to that, which most of you got, you become disinterested in material enjoyment and you become more interested in spiritual life. So most of you got that right. Number 5, even though we may only chant 16 rounds.
I'm sorry, Mataji. Yes.
It's okay. Even though we may only chant 16 rounds daily, we can expect the mercy of Mahaprabhu because we are under, let me quickly see what most of your answers were for. We are under Prabhupada's shelter. That's the one. And basically, I forgot to tell you this, that Srila Prabhupada was so kind on us that he just allowed us 16 rounds. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said that if you don't chant 64 rounds a day, you should consider yourself fallen. So we have Srila Prabhupada's mercy. He's given us this. And I'm sorry if you just guessed this. I should have mentioned it from the purport. I omitted to do that. So we are under...
What was the answer again for number 5?
Number 5 is B. We are under Srila Prabhupada's shelter. That's the one. Because Srila Prabhupada made this, he helped us out by allowing us to do 16. In fact, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, we should always chant 64 and more. But Srila Prabhupada was so kind because back in those days, devotees couldn't do more than that. So he kindly gave us his shelter and allowed us to do that. So 6, Krishna's devotee is not subjected to material conditions, even though his bodily features may appear materially conditioned. One should therefore not see a devotee from, which is B, a materialistic point of view. So don't see a devotee from a materialistic point of view. So most of you got that. I think the younger kids, I'm going to cut you some slack today because I think it was so many big words, so much going on. So you may have just, clicked whichever you thought was right. So that's fine. Even though a pure devotee may not be born in a Brahmin or Goswami family, if he is engaged in the service of the Lord, he should not be neglected. So don't neglect a pure soul. Don't worry about what birth he is, what caste he's from, how his body looks, whatever. That is irrelevant, immaterial. And 8, those who think Krishna consciousness is limited to a certain section of people, a certain section of devotees, or a certain section of land or tract of land, the answer is C. They are generally prone to only see the external feature. And I think what Srila Prabhupada was meaning here in the purport is that, like in India in those days when Srila Prabhupada took he said these dancing white elephants back to India, many people had it stuck in their head, maybe even till today, that, oh no, all these, these foreign devotees can never be Krishna conscious. We can only be Krishna conscious. So Prabhupada is saying, get away from this external feature of seeing a devotee. Don't look at bodily concept, get beyond that. And number 9, let's just quickly go fix that answer over here. Oh, we can't fix the answer. Sorry, number 9 is, and I will admit I made a mistake with the answer. An empowered person who is actually engaged in the confidential service of the Lord should not be treated. Should not be treated. And the answer is going to be D. That's the best of the answers. Do not treat an empowered person as an ordinary human being, because they're definitely not an ordinary human being. So sorry for that. And I can see most of you got that right. And the last one, it is an offense to try to and this I didn't explain to you, but in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that we should not correct an empowered devotee. We should neither try to discipline them, neither we should try to give them our advice. So it's going to be 10 is all of the above. Because this empowered Vaishnava, sometimes, I guess why that was put in there, sometimes you find that some people go up to a senior devotee, even a guru, and they try to correct them. They see them from a material perspective and try to tell the guru how he should act, how he should behave. They try to even correct the guru. Some people even try to give the guru advice, how he should conduct. So in a way, like becoming too over-familiar. So in that way, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that is definitely all of A, B, and C is all an offense. Because we should realize the position of an empowered Vaishnava, an empowered devotee. And we should not use our material eyes to see them. We should look at them from a spiritual perspective. Let me see if I have, so I'm going to stop sharing that. Let's see if I have anything else on my slides. Okay, I think that's about it. There's my email and my number. You can always call me. Anybody wants to share anything with us? We're like 5 minutes over time. If you have anything that you'd like to share, you want to, oh, I'm sorry, it's 8 minutes past the hour. So anybody wants to share anything? Want to share? Let me just quickly look at the questions. Anybody wants to find out?
Mataji, so when are we going to have our exam for?
Good question, Jagannath Prabhu. That is going to be all left to Shraddhadev Prabhu.
Oh, it's still not decided yet?
No, but I'm assuming that we're going to wait for maybe like Bhagavad Gita to get over first. And that's what I'm assuming. Once all the Bhagavad Gita exams are done, then it could be like Nectar of Devotion, Ishopanishad, Nectar of Instruction. That could be then. I'm thinking that we don't want to swamp all of you with too many exams going on at the same time. So I think since you started, and I will check up, and next Saturday's class, I'll give you more information. But I'm thinking that once you started with your Bhagavad Gita, like Unit 1, Unit 2, I think we're working on that first, get that out of the way, and then look at look at what else is left after that. So be prepared. It could even be like middle, even end of August as well. So when you do have time, that's why I start, start looking at the questions as well. If you have time, because I know you got your next Bhagavad Gita exam coming up as well. So I hope that answered your question. Anybody else has anything else they want to share? Anything they'd like to talk about? And please forgive me for any offenses. Today, I know it seemed like I was all over the place from one text to the other. There was so much to cover. And the teacher, school teacher and me, I don't like leaving anything out. So I will share with you this PowerPoint. And homework, just start giving me homework that you have not turned in, and or prepare for the exam. If there's nothing further to say, if no one has any more comments, have a good evening, and Hare Krishna to all of you. And take care. Don't forget, next Saturday is the class again. And then after next Saturday, we're going to have one more class after that, which is going to be in 2 weeks' time. I think it's going to be the 31st, July the 31st, the Friday. That's going to be the last class, because we only have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've got 5 verses more, and they are very quick and easy to cover verses. So thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna. Have a good evening.